whether you choose to believe it or not, it is a fact that 90% of small businesses fail to achieve their goals. Now, it's not an issue of lack of money or maybe bad luck. It's the goals themselves that are broken. So in this video, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you exactly why these small businesses fail to achieve their goals and come up with strategies that you can use to turn this around. And in particular, look at the smart goal setting system to ensure that you turn the course around and move from goal failure to goal achievement and goal success. Hello and welcome back to Piri Consulting, where we help entrepreneurs like you build scalable, profitable, as well as fundable businesses. If you are very serious about scaling your business, please hit that subscribe button as well as the notification button, because each and every week we post real strategies for real entrepreneurs. So if you're a real entrepreneur, then you are in the right place. Don't forget, always subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. All right, let's break it down. Why exactly is there a very, very low success rate as far as goals are concerned? Now, as I said earlier, 9 out of 10 small businesses fail to achieve their goals. One of the main reasons for that is that they set vague goals. Now, by vague goals, it means that your goals are not specific at all. You find goals such as increase sales or boost sales, boost income, or do better. All right. Now, as much as that sounds good, it's not specific. And if it's not specific, then it's difficult to pin down exactly what you want to achieve with that. What is good look like? What does increase look like to you? So it has to be specific and set out exactly what it is that you want to achieve. The second reason for failure is that many owners set goals on their own. Now, because they've set them on their own, then it becomes difficult for the teams that they work with to buy in. All right, because that is the case, then there is discontinuity. There's this huge a gap between what the owner has conceptualized to what the people must be doing. So then that creates a very big problem in terms of what is it they're supposed to be doing. They do not know exactly how they're supposed to move from one step to the other, and how does that all build up to achieving the vision of the particular business. Then the third one is concentrating only on short-term gains. Now, in doing so, what is basically happening is that if you focus only maybe, let's say, on month-end sales, this might fail to align with the broader vision of the business. So as a result, there's misalignment in terms of the tactics that you're using on a day-to-day basis, failing to feed into the main broad goals or the vision of the business. So then entrepreneurs still find themselves failing in such instances. The fourth and perhaps one of the worst reasons is that you set goals and then you forget them. Forget to communicate them. No feedback, no alignment, no continuity. So it means that it was just an event. Goal setting becomes an event, not a process. This is supposed to be a process that you always go back to, that is communicated, that has got continuity in it. And you will see later when we're looking at some of the fixes that you can put in place, that it is a continual process where you come back and iterate, change course, and do whatever it is to make sure that you always reach at the situation or at the point where you have said that this is the destination for your business. Now that we have outlined what the main problems are, then let's try and see some of the fixes that you can use. The one and most important fix that you need to begin with is the SMART principle. Now, in goal setting, by now you know that you've got a SMART a principle or the SMART system where the S stands for a specific, a measurable, a achievable, relevant, as well as time bound. Okay, take the first one for instance, the S. If we say that goals are specific, a specific goal will sound like increase Q2 sales by 20% by entering into key segments or two key segments. Okay, so in that way, you are very specific as to what needs to be done. All right. And you've also stated the how it needs to be done or the tools that are going to be used to get there. And then the second part then is the measurable. Now you'll see that in those goals or in that particular goals, the Q2 increase Q2 sales by 20%, right? Already you've put in figures there. It means that it is quantifiable, it's measurable. You can measure 20%, you can measure 5%, but if you just say boost sales, how can you measure a boost in sales if there is no numerical value? So goals must be measurable. If you can't measure it, then you can't manage it. Always make sure that it is measurable. Then it means that there is a figure to it, is quantifiable, as in this case, increase Q2 sales by 20%. And then the third one, which is achievable, it means that now you're looking at your capacity, your capabilities as an organization or as an individual. Is this within the scope of what you can attain as an organization? Does your team have the skills? Do you have the resources to do this? Okay, now it's good to set a big, audacious goals. But in most cases, what ends up happening is that you set targets that are impossible for your teams. Your teams are now faced with these tasks that they are unable to accomplish with their given resources, with their skill sets, with the time frames that you put in place. It becomes practically impossible to do so. So you need to find a balance between being a huge and audacious in setting those goals and into being realistic as far as setting goals that you can achieve. And then the fourth one now becomes relevant. The R stands for relevancy. Okay. Now you're looking at the goals themselves. If you're breaking them down maybe to short term goals, do all these align and feed into the main vision or the mission, the reason for existence of your organization? Or you are just setting goals that sort of creates a lot of discontinuity. There is no bridge that is built between this activity and the next, right? So relevance is always key. Each and every thing, if you've got, let's say for instance, you've got different functions or different departments, each of those departments will have a set of goals, or if it is different teams, each will have a set of goals that align with each other so that they achieve the main broad vision or mission for that particular business. The T is time bound. All goals must have a time frame in which they must be achieved. As you saw in the example, you said Q2, so which means you know that in 2 quarters, all right, or in the second quarter, which will be 3 months of performance, there is a time span to it. Or you can say at the end of the year, or you can put an actual date to make sure that your goals are time bound. I think it's very important to take note at this point that smart goals will give you focus and they'll also give you structure and they also improve your chances of succeeding in your business adventure. Okay, now having dealt with the SMART, now what you need to do is you need to look at the other part of the strategy. Okay, now the other part of the strategy includes buy-in. Fine, as much as SMART goals are good, now what you need, then you need the teams or the people or the stakeholders that you're working with to buy in. Okay, so the most important thing then that you do first and foremost is involve your subordinates or your teams in planning. Now, What it means that if they're involved in planning, it means that whatever goals have been set, they will own the results. They cannot come back and say, no, these things did not materialize because we were not involved or because we were not familiar with what was required of us. If they're involved in the process of setting them, then it means that they'll be motivated enough to make sure that they achieve those particular goals. Because again, the process of involving them means that you are sort of giving them ownership into the process of running that particular business. Although they might not be owners as far as shareholders, but the fact that they are involved in that kind of setup, they are sort of involved in decision making, then uh, automatically, psychologically, they are more tuned up to becoming sort of ownership of the work that needs to be done. And in so doing, this will always lead to better results and more goals being achieved. Then the next thing that you need to do now that they're involved, look at communication. Communication is key to make sure that the goals trickle down to the last person in the organization or in your business. Everyone else must know exactly what the business is all about, what the business is targeting in terms of what it wants to achieve, and the role that they will play in achieving that. Again, this also stresses the point that front managers and all the other front workers, the people right there at the implementation, usually have got very valuable insights as far as what needs to be done because they are in contact with the customer. They're the one in contact with the product, or they're the ones at the point of delivering a service. As a result, the kind of feedback that they have through those interactions with customers and with other stakeholders is always valuable insight that you can use in your goal setting to curate a goals for that particular organizations or your organization that will be achievable goals, that will be a realistic goals, that will be a goals that you as an organization can achieve within the specification or the characteristics within the time scale that you have for achieving them. I think one of the most important things that probably entrepreneurs fail to remember or forget easily is that business or entrepreneurship is a team sport. So if it's a team sport, then you need to play like a team player. So as what we have seen for a lot of SMEs, a lot of small businesses that are coming up, the owners usually separate themselves from their teams or from their subordinates. Now, the fact that there's this bridge, it means that there are a lot of chances or opportunities for misalignment in setting goals as well as in trying to implement those particular goals. The next thing that you need to be looking at then is balance and adaptation. Okay, so in that, this is what we're basically saying. You need to make sure that you balance short-term gains with the long-term vision of the business. So often, as I said earlier, you find that there's a lot of focus on maybe reaching monthly targets. But in doing so, are you really targeting the a bigger picture for the organization? It could be very easy to achieve those sales targets, achieve the revenue targets, but in the long term or in the long run, does it help you in getting to that particular a target or goal that you have for the long term, for the 5 year and so forth, moving into other time spans? You need to find tools that you can use to make sure that you align a short term or small activities to the bigger ones. For instance, we spoke earlier in one of the videos, I'll link it down below, where we spoke about tactical planning, where you are breaking down big goals into smaller bite-sized activities that you can do, but these are always aligned to the big one. So usually the practice there is that you start by the big audacious goal in the longer time frame, and then you break it down to smaller time frames, coming up with smaller activities that will be done in the short term, feeding all the way until we get to that long-term broad goal that you have for the organization. So every small activity, every tactic has to lead to that one. So you need to make sure that there is a balance between the long term and the short term. The next one is very important. Then flexibility. Flexibility is always one of those things that is critical and very crucial in ensuring that you achieve your goals without fail every time. Remember that this is at the backdrop of a customer taste changing, markets move. There is technology that is bringing new ways of satisfying needs and so forth. Now, with all that background of all these changes, and then it means that the organization has to be flexible. If you need to pivot at any time, you must do so. Or you need to make adjustments to your goals, you must do so. Do not wait, because in the current economic environment where we are in, speed is one of those things that will uh, sort of bring the difference between those that are achieving and those that are not achieving their goals. So the quicker you turn, means that you are flexible. Your flexibility will become a very valuable sort of aspect or factor to ensure that you succeed at achieving your goals. And then what you need to then focus on is to monitor regularly and also celebrate wins. It's very important that at every other time there is a continuous loop of monitoring, of controlling, of evaluating what you are doing with your goals. Okay, fine, you have set them, you are implementing. The next step in that is that you need to evaluate whether you are still on target to achieve those particular goals. There might be a divergence sometimes, or you find that you are no longer on the same path that you're in. So, which means you have deviated from the ideal situation. Now, it doesn't mean at any given time that you're always going to achieve your goals exactly the way you set them. It could happen, but in most cases, there are usually some deviations. Now, you need to find a way of finding out first and foremost, is there deviation or not? If there is there something that can be done to control that deviation? Okay, sometimes it might mean resetting the goals. Sometimes it might mean just tweaking here and there in your implementation. And then it means that now you're improving the way you control everything else that is running from your goals to your implementation and to your monitoring processes. Monitoring is key. And when you do achieve those goals, it is always important to celebrate those milestones. Make your employees or your teams feel that you appreciate what they are doing as far as the input that they are putting in that particular organization. Celebrate with it could be ringing a bell, it could be a Worker of the Month award, whatever it might be. Always celebrate gains. Right now, the last part of the strategy then deals with people. If you want better goals or you want to achieve goals, you need better people. Okay, so which means that you need investment in the right kind of person to drive those goals forward. Now, first and foremost, it is important to note that you need to make sure that there is a system of skills development or upgrading or upskilling for your employees, because better skills will always lead to a better, stronger team. The next thing is to allow creativity. Now, what you don't need are robots. You need problem solvers. You don't need people that will just follow things as they are without bringing their own perspective, because their own perspective could be much better because they are on the ground, they know what's going on, and then they're able to come up with solutions to sort out whatever problems you have in your organization. And again, as a leader, you need to model the right kind of energy that you want to see in your organization. They're obviously looking at you and looking at exactly how you carry yourself, your energy, your attitude toward business, towards them. Are you presenting the right kind of energy? Is a positive energy, or are you creating this doom and gloomy kind of picture where it becomes so impossible for them even to believe in those particular goals? So make sure that there's a positive outlook, positive attitude that you carry as the leader in that particular organization. This will lead to a better performance and better achievement in your particular goals. All right, now that you're here, make sure, please, that you always go back and check out the SMART principle and so forth. But of most importance, I have created an easy to use SME goal tracker, which you can have today for free. All you need to do is download. The link is in the description down below. This will help you track your goals and to see exactly how to manage that. So don't forget, just leave a comment if you can't say it, or otherwise just go. The link is down below. Download for free. It's an easy plug and play. You just see every instruction is given for you there on how to use this, and this will make you more and more effective in your goal setting, as well as tracking your goals to make sure that you're achieving as much of your goals as possible. Again, don't forget that early preparation equals excellent results. This is Peer Consulting. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you in the next video. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe.